Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Teresa Castro, and I am a proud alumna and staff member in UNC's Office of Alumni Relations. Thank you all so much for joining us today for the Alumni Career Panel, Careers in Hospitality and Tourism. Today, we will learn from and connect with fellow UNC Bears working in this industry. Before I introduce you to our panelists, I would like to share a few housekeeping items. First, this event will be recorded and will be available on demand a week after this event on the alumni website, and I will post the link in the chat. Two, I invite you all to start building your network and reach out to the panelists after the event. I will also post their contact information in the chat towards the end of this virtual event. Three, I will go off screen after introductions and will return towards the end of the event to provide a closing statement. As we highlight the careers of these alumni, I invite students, fellow staff, and faculty to ask questions through the Q&A feature. Now, please help me in welcoming our panelists. Panelists, please introduce yourself by stating your name, pronouns, title, the organization you work for, your UNC degree, and a little bit about yourself. Sarai, we'll start with you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Soraya Atherson. My pronouns are she, her, and I currently work for the Colorado Rockies as an account executive for special events and theme days. I graduated from UNC in 2019 with a communications major and then a minor in media studies. Currently I am in the office now, finishing up a work day. For here, I just do all the theme days and special events for the Rockies. So if you've ever been to a Star Wars game, Star Wars night, this year we did Harry Potter night, all that kind of fun stuff. That is what I spearhead here. I've always been a big sports fan. I've always been a big communicator as well. So this kind of fit the role for myself. I also just, enjoy being outdoors and being active and things like that. So that's me.
Thank you, Sarai. Maria, how about we go to you next?
My name is Maria Bocanegra Tejeda. My pronouns are she, hers, ella, and I am a bilingual public relations and events coordinator for Aloe Fiber. I graduated from UNC in May of 22 with a major in business administration marketing and a minor in Spanish. Currently, my job just basically entails doing all the events and outdoor activities for my company. Aloe Fiber is a telecom fiber optic company that provides internet, TV, and phone services in the Greeley area. So that's what I do.
Thank you. Brandon, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Grasmick. My pronouns are he, him, his. I graduated UNC in 2017. My major was actually speech therapy and audiology. I picked up a minor in recreation, tourism, and hospitality, and that's kind of what led me to the career I am today. So I'm the recreation coordinator for special events for the town of Erie. I oversee about 15 internal events that we put on for our community, for youth and families. I oversee our external event permitting process, and then oversee sponsorship, advertising, vending. So they all kind of fall under the umbrella of special events, and that's kind of my current role today.
Thank you, Brandon. And then Turi, why don't you close us out?
Great, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Turi Nykum. I am the he, him, his. I'm the executive director for Mountain Recreation. It's a recreation district that serves Edwards, Eagle, and Gypsum area along the I-70 corridor. Been here for about 2 months. Prior to that, I was at the city of Durango as their Parks and Recreation director for 2 years, and then 15 years with the city of Fruita over on the western slope, where I was their Parks and Recreation director. I have a master's degree from UNC in sport administration. Received that in 2003, and prior to that, I got my bachelor's degree from the University of Colorado at Boulder in business administration. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I will hand it over to Ashley to introduce herself, who will be our facilitator this afternoon. Ashley.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashley Register. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I graduated from UNC in 2019 with my bachelor's degree in journalism, emphasis in strategic communications, and I received double minors in African American studies and political science. I currently work at the West End Peachtree Plaza downtown in Atlanta as an event manager, where I oversee about right under 100 events a year, from everything to social events to corporate events. I'm actually at the office right now because I have a VIP reception happening upstairs, but we'll get into, what that looks like in the panel. So yeah, I'll go ahead and kick it off and get us started. This question is going to be for Sarai, Maria, Brandon, and Turi. How did your UNC experience help you launch into your career and arrive at your current role? And anyone can answer that first. We can go with Sarai.
Okay, yeah. So I would say that UNC gave and continues to give students a lot of opportunities, but they also do it with a side of independence, which is really something that I gained from when I was attending there. I think they, from everything from internships to on-campus jobs to things like that, it all helped me prepare for the role that I'm in now. I worked at the rec center. I did club sports. I worked in club sports as well. I did after our clubs there and internships and all of those things, I think kind of were a culmination of things that I were interested in and things that helped fuel my passions, and but also educated me in real world experience at the same time. So I was able to see what working in sports was like on a couple different levels, from customer service to planning events to even media sides. I did a internship at a radio station in Greeley through UNC. So that showed me a different side, just working in sports that I had never been, exposed to before. So all of those things, I think, helped me kind of do it on my own. I didn't know anybody and I didn't, where I wanted to go, but it created sort of an independence within myself as well, that I was like, okay, let me get out there and try and see what I like, and, explore all those different facets of the passions that I already had going for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I love that answer because likewise, I got into events because of my on-campus job as well, working for UPC. And I think UNC just does a very great job of allowing people to kind of find their niche, find their passions, and give them all the opportunities and resources that they need to explore that before they get into the real world. What about you, Maria?
Yeah, so you both actually summarized it pretty well, but I also did a couple of internships throughout my time at UNC. Originally being a marketing major, I had requirements to do a professional experience and internships outside of campus. I completed a total of 3. However, all the things that I learned, and although they were all under marketing, they all required different things and they all provided me with different experiences, all which led me to events, and I do want to emphasize that you just never know how everything works together. So events and PR goes hand in hand with marketing. And I never thought it was going to be a possibility for me until, I got the experience through my internships and my professional experiences. So I think that's what really helped me guide me into this field. And it's been an awesome experience since.
Thank you for that. Brandon, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we'll probably echo a lot of simpler things across the board. But yeah, for me too, it was like first starting my internship, I was that classic person who didn't know what they want to be when they grow up. And I think I'm still in that boat today, but I'm kind of figuring it out as we go along. And I picked up RTH as a minor, was kind of confused and didn't know what I wanted to do. And picking up that internship really gave me the confidence and the experience I needed in special events and general programming. I think there's a lot of transferable skills for parks and recreation and events and programming that are all kind of interrelated. So I kind of got my start there doing an internship in Windsor. And funny enough, a lot of the connections that I made in Windsor are actually a lot of connections and coworkers that I have here in Erie. So it's always good to quickly make those connections. And then I think Sarai touched on it as well, just getting involved wherever you can, finding what you enjoy. Whether for me it was club sports and working out at the rec center and doing my internship, but trying out new classes and getting it involved and putting yourself out there. I think UNC has a lot of benefits to offer. I think it's just kind of on you to take that chance and take that opportunity with those.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love that answer. Tori, we'll kick it off to you for your final answer.
Sure. My answer might be a little bit different. As I mentioned, I was going through the graduate program, and I was not a traditional student. I was living off campus, and a lot of our classes were on the weekends. So my experience might be a little bit different in terms of not being on class or on campus and having those relationships built through that. But we did have a cohort of students that we went through the program kind of together, and we attended classes together. And that's what really benefited me, was having those cohort relationships and then developing the relationships with the professors. Because I was already working in the Parks and Recreation field, it was more theory-based and learning about some of the whys of why I was doing what I was doing. Why do we run, soccer leagues for our communities and things like that, and coming to understand that, we're all about building those experiences for people, not through only soccer, but through events and through the facilities that we provide and things like that. So my experience was really kind of, founded in talking through those things with the cohorts that I had, as well as the professors. So.
Thank you so much for that insight. And this next question is actually going to be for Tori and Brandon. Tori, I'll start with you just because I think that you have really good insight being in the grad program, as a lot of our students do go through our grad program. So community engagement through recreational events and activities can foster a strong bond between tourists and the local population. Can you discuss activities that you have led to contribute to building a sense of connection and cultural exchange between visitors and the local community?
Sure. I'll start with my experience in the city of Fruita. When I got there in 2006, it was a smaller community. We really didn't have a recreation program or a parks program. So we developed that parks and recreation program from the ground up, and really started offering all of those activities and events, and started investing in that as a city. And it really brought our community together, but it also brought people from the outside into our community to not only spend dollars, but to learn about what we are, what we were as the city of Fruita. One of the things in particular that I'll highlight is trail development. Fruita is really a well-known community for mountain biking, and it brought in a lot of tourism into the community, which really changed the community for the better in a lot of ways. It brought in economic vitality. Um, it brought in, a change of mindset for Fruita, and really opened it up from a kind of a one industry oil and gas community to talking about, well, we have outdoor recreation. We can actually have jobs and industry in that too. So that's one of the specific things that in Fruita, how outdoor recreation and events and parks and recreation impacted a community for the better. So bringing the tourism and the community members together in that way was very beneficial for Fruita.
Thank you so much for that answer. I think I fell in love with events because I saw what it could do for a community and how it can really just bring us together. So I definitely resonate with that.
I'll bring up one other event that's really kind
Yeah,
of,
please.
yeah, I think I shared it with you all the other day, but Mike the Headless Chicken Festival in Fruita, Colorado. It's a very unique event. It started about 25 years ago, and it was really, Mike the Headless Chicken was a chicken who lived for 18 months without his head. And Fruita kind of picked it up, and now they celebrate Mike the Headless Chicken and his will to live, and just really honors life and things like that. But what it does do is it brought in a lot of people from outside the community to learn about Fruita, and eventually some of them may have even moved to Fruita. But I was interviewed by the London Times, various newspapers around the country, but just kind of talking about that crossover and cross connection between tourism and local people or local residents. Mike the Headless Chicken would be a great case study for any student to come in and do.
Thank you for that. What about you, Brandon?
Yeah, and thanks, Tori. I actually wanted to mention to you this in our practice session, but I visited City of Fruita, and funny enough, when I was kind of driving into town on that Saturday, they were running their Touch a Truck event. So I was just like, how funny an events person get to see their own Touch a Truck. But yeah, ultimately our goal is to provide something for everyone and bring into our community and really show off Erie. So in my role in the field, I've had the privilege of coordinating a diverse range of events designed not only to entertain, but also engage tourists within our local community. I think one of those standout events for us, I mentioned before, a lot of our focus is on youth and family, but one of those standout events is our Halloween event, which is actually coming up this Saturday, a big trick or treat event called Boo on Brig Street. So this event has become one of our signature attractions, and it draws roughly 5,000 people downtown. And I think truly what sets us apart is working with those local businesses downtown and getting their involvement and getting their buy-in. So they kind of spookify their businesses and decorate their storefronts in celebration of our event. A lot of them participate and pass out candy, and then we do a bunch of other things. We have a stage, we have a DJ, we have a costume contest. But by involving the local businesses, I just think we integrate local community with the tourist experience and ultimately just promote that unity and cultural exchange. So we also put a focus on our external events as well. Like I mentioned, we want to provide something for everyone. So our external events really kind of fill the need and the gaps that our internal events may not meet. So we're kind of picky on what we choose to put on for our community. So we really curate the number of events, the type of events each month to really cater to demographics within our community.
I'm going to go off script here for just a little bit, Brandon, but something that you said about you kind of pick and choose which external and internal events that you do. Can you speak a little bit more about how, like, what is the criteria or how you kind of decide what events that you'd like to be more external facing to your community?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually glad you brought it up because I did did want to talk about that and kind of skipped over it. Um, yeah, so when I kind of first started, and I think we'll talk more about this in a later part, but a big challenge for us was we were truly oversaturated with events in our community, almost which is maybe unheard of, but we had an event like every weekend, and it was just had a big impact on our businesses downtown and the traffic control that we had in place. And then uh, people were having kind of pick and choose which event they were wanting to go to because they were back to back. So we really just scaled down what we were offering. We took a long look at what's working, what's not, what do we want to offer for our community. So we really just like set parameters around the type of events that we're offering. We're not going to put on 30 run races throughout the entire year. We're really going to kind of scale those down. And our Being Better Neighbors group offers some cultural events that we put on. We have our annual like Erie Biscuit Day. That's a big hit that's been in the community for a long time. So we really just put a focus on what we want to offer and not oversaturate. So
Fantastic. So what I heard was quality over quantity, pretty much, and I definitely agree. Love that. So this next question is going to be for Sarai and Maria. In the hospitality industry, it is known for its emphasis on customer service. What are some key strategies or approaches that you have used to ensure exceptional customer satisfaction? And what would you recommend for future bears going into this field? And Sarai, we'll start with you.
Okay. I think it helps, and I always thought a lot about this. I think it helps when you love helping people. When being of service like brings you joy, I think that really helps you kind of go that extra mile. And in this industry, I really think that that does not go unnoticed. People really appreciate being taken care of in any aspect. And I feel like in any industry or subject, people really like when people take care of them. And I always think too, I always try to treat my guests and customers, clients, whoever I'm serving, how I think about how I would want to be treated by them if I'm having issues during an event. For example, we do a lot with like ticket issues. People buy the wrong theme day ticket, and they're so excited about getting an item, and then they come here to the ballpark and they bought the wrong ticket. So I would want to be treated in a way that feels like I'm being heard, and I think people really respect that, and it makes your job a lot easier when when you can really get on that level and help to understand those people and their concerns, because really at the end of the day, my boss always says they just want to be heard, they just want to vent. And so being there for them is great. And I think the Rockies really, we're a little bit of a smaller organization. So we have, which I kind of like, we have the time and the attention to pay attention to those people and, treat each situation, with extra care. And we don't pass over those people, which I really value. And so that's a great matchup if you ever, get into the sports side of, tourism, hospitality, customer service kind of area. I think you should find, an organization that fits if your values line up with that organization's as well. And I feel like I did find that here. And adding that personal touch, I always say try to find a commonality with the people that you're serving, try to find a similarity. I always say like, oh, if it's an older guy and I try to think of my dad, I can relate to Army veterans. My dad was in the Army. If I see, like a college student, or we get a lot of UNC people that come to games and stuff. So I try to relate to them on that level and sort of build that relationship that short amount of time that you're interacting with those people. I think really, really kind of sets you apart, and it makes your job easier. It makes it more fun because it's adding that element of service to your job, which is so fulfilling.
Yeah, thank you for that insight. I definitely agree. I try to make all my clients feel like they're a guest in my home. So like you said, like whatever you need, I'm there. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to hear you and listen to you and make sure that all your needs are met. Maria, what about you?
I think definitely establishing and building those one-on-one connections, and just, really getting to know your target market and your audience, so you are able to provide them with the best service that you can. In my job role, it's actually very broad because we deal with customers as well as other organizations and towns. For example, the town of Erie, my counterpart, he handles the Erie market, but a lot of the times we're not only dealing with customers, but also organizations and bigger towns. And so we really have to establish that close relationship with them, getting to know them. And something that Sarai mentioned that I think is really true is just making sure that your values align with your organizations. So over at Allo, we really emphasize four of our core values are hassle, honest, local, and hassle-free, exceptional. So I really want to make sure that when I'm servicing, whether it's a customer or working with an organization for an event or partnering for a sponsorship, that I am representing all of those values and I am providing them with the best experience, not only that our company does as a whole, but also just as an individual. So that is the best way to approach it, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that you really just have to love people, and you have to love, helping them and serving them. And throughout all their emotions, right? When they're planning an event that's, it means something to them. You can see all of their emotions. You have to be able to serve them at their best and serve them at their worst sometimes. So I also want to kind of follow up and ask, what does it look like, or how do you manage like situations where, a client is kind of being a little bit difficult, but you still have to make that human connection and serve them and get the job done? Anyone can answer that. Yeah.
I believe just really hearing them out. I think a lot of the times people just want to be heard, like Sarai mentioned earlier as well. People just want to be heard, and you get to see a different perspective as well. And maybe there is something that is not working internally and nobody else in the company or the organization is seeing it, but getting that perspective and being open-minded with the public really helps you not only grow as an individual, but help your organization grow and find better ways to serve the public and the audience that you are working with.
Yeah, I would totally agree with Maria. I think that taking the time to listen to them, they might provide an insight that you just maybe have overlooked, and then help mitigating those issues and coming to a compromise if things, need to be fixed. So I think just a whole part of it is listening. I do deal with a lot of the same recurring clients each year for their events. We'll partner with a ton of universities, especially we do our university nights here at the Rockies. So like we do all the universities and they all are different. They all need different things. And so I always say that they're all the same, but they're all different. They all have a different element that they want to bring, because it's their university, and I try to relate to that. I'm like, I'm very excited when UNC comes to do their UNC night, but I have to also, listen and be open and treat CSU the same way, or whatever school it would be. So I just try to put myself in that position, like, okay, let me think of it as UNC. I would want them to feel just as I would for any other school. So I just try to keep that in mind, that this event probably does mean a lot to them, and it does help. It brings you back into the present too, when you are dealing with those clients or customers or whoever it may be, who's maybe being a little bit difficult.
Definitely staying in the present. Thank you for that. I love it. So this next question is actually going to be for everyone. And whoever wants to answer first, please feel free to just jump in. So the question is, effective leadership is crucial in managing teams of staff or volunteers in the hospitality sector. How have you developed effective leadership qualities and applied these in your career?
I, I'll jump in. I'll start off. I've been fortunate enough to have some great leaders that have led me. So I've really kind of picked out some of those people in my life who have helped me along the way. In particular, a city manager in Fruita, and a Parks and Recreation director down in Glenwood Springs. And I really look to them and how they present themselves, how they work with people, and things like that. So I really try and pull some of those qualities from those folks that I admire and respect, and really try and emulate them. So that's one way that I try and develop some of the skills and leadership qualities within myself. But it's also just getting out, talking to people. I consider myself a relational, empathetic leader. So I really kind of lead by the side. So just really trying to work with my staff, find out where they want to go in life, and really trying to help them progress their careers and their goals, and not only careers, but their personal goals too. So that's how I've tried to develop some of my leadership skills, and then also tried to, pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah, I could go ahead and piggyback off of Turi there. I think it's important to find people where you respect and enjoy their leadership qualities. I think there's leadership has grown over time, and that's something that I've kind of seen in myself. I'm very much an introverted extrovert, so pulling out that extrovert side of me within this panel and working in special events overall, in general. But I think there is always a unique way to be a leader, and that looks differently for everyone. But I think for me, it comes down to three components, and this is what I always try to relate to all my staff and my volunteers as well. I break it down with like the 3 C's. Caring, you got to get staff on board and connected, and to buy in to your mission, vision, and values. The second one is communication. Always be an over communicator. Make sure your staff are aware what's going on and what the expectations are and how they can help you out with this event. So always over communicate. I think that's huge. I sometimes probably get annoying to some of like my vendors or my sponsors or even my staff, but I'm just like, I just want to make sure I'm painting the picture clear for you. So I think that's important for me as well. And then the third C is collaboration, as everyone on this panel knows. And for me, I attend most of my events, but you also can't be everywhere at once. And so a lot of that frontline staff plays a big role in what you do at those events. So collaborate with them, let them spitball ideas, maybe utilize some of their ideas for that buy-in. And I think for that's just kind of the 3 things I stick to for my leadership qualities.
I can jump in after Brandon. I agree with Brandon and Terry that sort of seeing the leaders before you in your past or even currently, and grabbing those qualities that you really like about them and applying them to your own. And I really liked what Brandon said about how leaders can look different, and there's always a different way to be a leader. And I think that's awesome, especially now. I think that people bring a lot of things to the table, and every event requires something different, just like every job requires something different. So learning how to be everywhere all at once is really helpful, but being yourself and then being the best that you can be is also really important. I think I also try to surround myself with good staff and good we've got a great customer service team here at the Rockies who helps with a lot of my events, and they are they're awesome in everything that they do. And I think picking out specifically the strengths that they have and then asking them to focus on that makes everything, because you can tell when somebody doesn't want to do something. You can tell when somebody's better at something else versus whatever it may be. So I think, noticing those things and, bringing that out in other people, it's just, if your staff are happy and doing the best that they can, your event is going to run that much better. So I also think, being in sports too, it's everybody's a team player. And I think being a leader also requires you to be a team member as well. So keeping that in mind when I'm running my events, and then if anybody needs help with their events or something along those lines, I always try to, pay it forward as well. So yeah.
I would also just mention being really passionate and confident about the work that you do. A lot of the times, we're in charge of events or sponsorships that we are very new to and don't know how to approach it. But when you are working with a team and they're looking at you for guidance, you have to have that passion and the confidence that, we're going to get this done and we're all going to have a great time and everybody's going to do a great job. But also, as Brandon mentioned, I think over communicating is highly important. At my job, we work with a lot of our own team members to help us run outdoor events. And so over communicating information is highly important, because that way, they know what they're doing and you can get the best outcome of the events that you are putting together. So that's how everybody wins. I see it. But yeah, I think that just with passion and confidence, it's a way great to lead a team.
Thank you all so much. And I feel like a common theme that I heard was just the people that you were surrounded with in the team and collaboration over communication. And with that being said, kind of leads into our next question about networking. And this question is also for everyone. So why is networking important in your field, and how do you build or strengthen your networks? And Sarai, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think this, similar to tourism and hospitality, I think sports is also very inclusive. You're going to find tourism and hospitality all over the world. So I think they all talk to each other, just like sports teams all talk to each other. We constantly bounce ideas off of each other, and we ask for help. I know for the Rockies, we're always reaching out to other teams, and they're reaching out to us, asking us, hey, we noticed you did this event. How did that go? And how can we make it work for our market, for our venue, for our, audience that we have? And so I think being willing to bounce ideas and ask, for help is definitely one of the benefits of networking. You never want to burn bridges, because you never know if, you want to move to a different city and you want to do a different team, you want to do a different sport, because it's all connected, and everybody's essentially, it's a very large community, and we're all, interested in doing the same thing. So I think you always want to make sure that you continue to build those relationships, not just outside, but also inside as well. I think we work with a lot of different departments around our ballpark for our events. We need, clearance from our ballpark operations people for movie night. How are we going to get all these people on the field after the game? We need help. We need people who know the ballpark specifically. We need, the promotions department to come, help hand out items. We need, all of these, departments to come together and really like help us out. So being, building that relationship with them, I always try to thank them. And, if I see them in the hallway, I'm talking to them, I'm having a conversation with them. I'm trying to build those relationships. I'll take them out to lunch. I'll do, whatever, because it makes my job that much easier when I know I'm asking a friend for help versus when I'm asking, a stranger. Like I know, Brady down the hall is going to help me out when I need it, even though he's not in my department. He's not directly helping with the event and stuff, but I know if I need something, I can ask somebody. So I think it's really important to keep networking, not just within your department, but within your organization, within other organizations that are kind of in the same field.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. My manager always says that like we run the hotel because they don't know what to do until we tell them what to do, whether it's front desk, housekeeping, downstairs at FedEx. If we don't tell them, this is what the client is expecting, then they kind of really don't know how to do their job. So it is building those relationships with other departments. And also the hotel industry is very big, but it's also very small. And working in Atlanta, if you worked at one, you probably worked with everybody. Doesn't matter what hotel you go to. You're like, oh, you were my front desk agent at this property. And, it's such a close niche community. And I definitely love that. Maria, we'll kick it off with you next.
Yeah, I think, as you both mentioned, making sure you have that network within your own organization, but also spending outside of it is very important. With us, we do a lot of like business after hours, chamber events, and of course, LinkedIn. I found that LinkedIn has become one of my best friends since graduating. And so even when I was in UNC, I took a class that solely focused on LinkedIn. And back then I didn't think it was going to make such a huge difference in my life, but it truly has. And so now as a professional, once I attend these chamber events or business after hours or galas, and meet somebody and establish a connection, the best way for me to follow up is connecting with them on LinkedIn and then seeing them, the stuff that they have going on, and then, creating those connections and saying, hey, you have this event, would love to attend, or we have this event, you're more than welcome to attend. So I definitely encourage, students that are looking to get into this field to really look at those things and just forming part of groups like young professionals. Most communities have one, or I believe it's like, I'm not sure what the other one is called, but for us it's called young professionals, and there's one for older professionals. But either way, forming part of one of those is great. You get to meet a lot of professionals in your area and people just working in very different fields that you never thought you would connect with, but make a huge difference when trying to create some kind of project or event in your community. So that's my advice.
Tori, what about you? I feel like you've been in this industry longer than the rest of us have. So how do you continue to build, your network and strengthen the networks that you already have?
Well, I got to be honest, I'm probably a tech dinosaur. And LinkedIn is something still very kind of foreign to me, so I'm still learning that. So, but I do appreciate LinkedIn and how that can help you build your network. But in terms of how I've done it, it's just really I've never really turned down a lunch offer. I've never turned down a opportunity to go out and have a refreshment after work with whomever invites me. So just being open to accepting those offers and meeting someone new. That's what it's all about, is just meeting new people and starting to develop that relationship with whoever is interested in you. But if you're interested in someone that you want to go out and meet, make that offer yourself. One thing that has really actually helped me out a lot over my 20 plus years in Parks and Recreation are the associations that I've been involved in. In Parks and Recreation, we have a really solid Colorado Parks and Recreation Association. We just had our fall conference. We had 700 Parks and Recreation professionals up in Snowmass Village, and that's a great opportunity for you to get to know whoever's in Parks and Recreation. So if something happens in your community or a facility you operate, you could pick up the phone and say, what did you do here? How did you handle this situation? And then also participating in the national organization, National Recreation and Parks Association, NRPA, has helped me out tremendously, because that's where I go and get a lot of education and learn about new and fun things, as well as just meet other people from around the country and what they're doing in their communities. So once you build that network, then it's just the thing I always really kind of stress is maintain that contact, continue to reach out. It's important. So.
Yes, thank you. And Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I think everyone kind of touched on most of my points already. I will say I think networking looks differently. I think Turi mentioned some things, Maria and Sarai all mentioned different things and ways to connect. So do what makes sense for you. I'm not always the most outgoing. You don't always have to be the loudest person in the room, but yeah, just grabbing a refreshment after work or just talking to someone briefly. I think there's good ways to connect. And then Sarai also mentioned something about shared ideas. I think she talked about shared ideas, and shared ideas are good ideas. is. I think it's good to, there's benefits to speaking to people outside of your organization. I think they offer a different lens and may think of something that may works for you that already works for them. So I think there's a lot of benefit to networking and making these connections, get involved in state organization, reach out LinkedIn, and again, whatever that looks like for you. But I think early and often is always a good thing.
Thank you for that. I have another question. Thinking about what I know now and what I wish I would have known when I was still in undergrad. And some people on the call may be wondering, it seems like once you get into these spaces, then all the networking happens and you kind of get access to like just this whole conglomerate of people. But it can kind of feel like you're on the outside looking in when you're not in it. So what advice would you have for undergraduate students or graduate students who are wanting to get in the field or wanting to network with, the people that are in the field that they're interested in, but may not be in those spaces just yet? And anyone feel free to take a stab at that one.
I'll say just be brave and ask the question and put yourself out there. Um, I know when I was a new professional, I was a little timid. But to be honest, if someone comes and asks me a question now and they're a new professional, I am more than happy to answer that question. I'm more than happy to show them the ropes or whatever. So don't be afraid, because I would say for the most part, everyone out there is more than happy to answer the question and provide the support. So just be brave.
Yeah, I agree. And the only thing I'll add is whether it is shadowing or your internship program or your practicum, whatever that looks like, I think if there's someone you admire or a job that you really like, I think just asking to sit down and talk to them or ask them questions about their career position. I did that several times while I was in college, trying to figure out what I wanted to do and what career path I wanted to take. So whatever interests you, whether it's job or people you see, don't hesitate to and be brave to reach out, ask them questions, or see how you can get involved. Maybe it looks like volunteering, maybe it's a part-time job, but get connected that way for sure.
Thank you. And just shameless plug, because I used to work there, UNC's Alumni Association definitely does have our bearer network. So if you have, someone that you're interested in, you wanting them to be your mentor, you can definitely reach out to Teresa on the other line. And I'm sure some more information will be coming to you as well. So we'll jump into the next question. This is also going to be for everyone. The recreation, travel, and tourism sector has faced significant changes and challenges, particularly in recent times. How have you seen the industry evolve throughout your career, and how have you been adaptable to these changes? Brandon, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've probably learned in my first 6 years of my career is that there is always going to be challenges, and it truly doesn't stop. But I think being adaptable and flexible to those challenges that are offered, I think is an important skill to have and being able to learn. So I think of something specific for my position and in the town of Erie is when I first started in 2019, we had our population was 19,000. And then now to date, we're roughly at 34,000. I may be a little off on that number, but that extreme growth in that small amount of time has led to numerous challenges, whether it's looking at and finding event space or program space, or maybe our community center is a little too small for our community, and then also a lot of different outdated policies and procedures that are in place from the small town, and now we've grown to this. So I think it's very important to, and not only just for this situation for me, but in general, just being proactive with your approach instead of reactive. I think we're just really looking far ahead, and especially for my area at events, we're taking a look at things differently. So I think it's just important to be proactive.
Thank you. Turi, would you like to answer that next?
Sure. I'll just start off by saying change is pretty constant. Feels like though it's kind of sped up, especially with COVID. That really has seemed to accelerate change that we're all experiencing. I think in Colorado, our communities are changing daily. Brandon talked about population growth. That's really impacted what we do in Parks and Recreation and trying to grow our programs and facilities to meet that growth. But one of the things that really kind of struck me when this question was asked is you know, maybe one specific thing is just COVID and how that impacted the recreation field, and maybe what we're doing in tourism and event management. And that's, people are now wanting to get outside. They kind of refound the outdoors, and how are we providing those events, and how are we taking care of our and stewarding our environment while, you know, we're seeing more and more people out there. So that's really impacted how I do my job. We when we do an event and we do it out, say at the Book Cliffs in North Fruita Desert, we have to think about that. We have to think about what BLM wants us to do and things like that. So just seeing that influx of people in our communities and the influx in the outdoors has really changed, at least in my field, parks and recreation.
Thank you for that. Next, we'll go to Sarai.
I would say that it's really impacted the sports industry a lot. I think we quickly realized that you can't have sports without fans. It's just, I think they tried it over the pandemic. I know for baseball specifically, there was, cardboard cutouts of fans in the stadiums, they were pumping crowd noise in stadiums just to make it feel, and it wasn't the same. I think after a while, a lot of people stopped watching. So when fans were allowed to come back, I think is when we started to switch our focus to how do we make these events better for them, more interesting for them, to draw those fans back to the stadium and to the games. And then how do we attract the people who haven't been before? We want to hit all of those markets. And I think that, COVID really showed us, to Turi's point, that things are different now, where we try to be more accommodating to those fans that do come back, and we want to make it the best experience for them. And so we're cashless now, where we do more digital tickets than we ever have. We do, you change your prices. People don't want to spend money, or maybe they do, maybe they're excited to get back out and spend money in the world again. So we want to cater to all of those needs, and honestly just make it, I think, especially after the pandemic, people are looking to do fun things again, and we want to be there to serve that to them and to provide that for them. We want them to come, to our stadium and have a good time and enjoy life again. So how do we alter all of our plans to fit those needs and stuff? So it's been very interesting, and it's been a lot of fun too. So hopefully we continue to do that for them.
Yes, thank you for that answer. And I completely agree. I think the pandemic just took away human connection and human interaction with one another. And so when it ended, or, kind of dissolved in a way, when it came back, when events started ramping back up again, we really showed in the clientele that people really wanted to, have that human interaction, have those connections, and they weren't going to settle for the bare minimum anymore. They wanted to, have their needs met and have their voice heard, like you mentioned earlier. So thank you for that insight. Maria, we'll go to you.
Yeah, I think the pandemic really affected the way that we communicated within our organization and how we plan to provide these services for people. But it also really brought in new forms of communicating. In the past, a lot of our I'm not going to say clients, but people that we were looking to establish a sponsorship with or create an event with, it had to be, in person. And now meeting online or jumping on a Zoom call, kind of what we're doing right now, it's so much easier, but also allows us to reach a wider range of people and just really go further than we have before. So although it changed a lot in the way that we communicate internally in the organization, it brought in a lot of new opportunities as well. But it also reminded us that with our goal with events is to be 90% in person. So a lot of the events, we want to make sure that we are present and we're there. And it's something that maybe we hadn't considered in the past, or something that we were used to before the pandemic. And then the pandemic happened, and we realized where we were lacking or where we wanted to be present. And so now we really emphasize having that in-person presence at most of the events that we participate in, just because we do understand the importance of human connection and why that is so important for our customers and the people that we work with.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wow, I can't believe we're on the last question. It's been just such a pleasure talking to you and just hearing your insight. But can you provide any final word of advice for UNC Bears currently seeking a job in the recreation, hospitality, and tourism field? Tori, we'll start with you.
Sure. I'll just say, get involved. Go volunteer at an event, or get a summer job in the field that you're interested in. that's where you start building those connections with people in the industry. And it's really quite easy to do that. There's tons of, 5Ks and mountain bike races and sporting events all around that we're always looking for volunteers and we're looking for part-time help. So that would be my word of advice is pick an organization, maybe in the sport or the activity that you really truly enjoy, and get out there and give a little time and give a little effort. The other thing I'll say is go in it with a positive intent. Go into wanting to have fun and wanting to support the organization and the event or program or whatever you're there to support. Just a positive mental attitude going into it will help you build those connections in that network. So.
Thank you. Sarai?
Yeah, I think, Turi said all those great points. I think starting somewhere is a great place to start. I think when I was at UNC, I did, like I said, I did media. I did some, I was working directly with teams and club sports. And so I just kind of was going all over the place. And then I just think if you take one of your passions, one of your interests, and you start somewhere on that level, you'll find something for you. I never thought I would be in events, and I love it. And I think, there's a path for everybody. There's something for everybody. I started on the promotions team here at the Rockies and I loved it. And I thought I wanted to do promotions, and then they created this position, and then I started doing this, and now I love this. So I think you can like and love a lot of different things, and you can move around, you can try different things, and you can stick with one thing for the whole time too. Everything's fine, everything works. And I always say that these are the fun jobs, but they're a lot of work. So you just have to be prepared to take the fun, but also be able to be ready to do a lot of work. There's a lot of communication involved. There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of organization, but at the same time, you have to remember at the end of the day, like this is the fun job, and I think it makes it all worth it in the end. So yeah, just start somewhere.
Definitely work hard, play hard, because you work hard to put the events on, but sometimes you can indulge in them as well. So that's also super fun. Maria, what about you?
I definitely think, just as they previously mentioned, just getting involved. And, even as an undergrad, and being from Greeley, I didn't know all the events that Greeley had going on. And so I started this position, and it's incredible, how much your community is doing. And sometimes you're not aware. So just really looking into those things. And then, as I mentioned, just pairing your passions with what you're good at, and maybe that way you create a path for yourself. And hey, like I never thought I would be good at, I personally never thought I would be doing events as a marketing major, but here I am. And I also really enjoy it. And there's opportunities everywhere if you're looking, or if you're willing to seek them out.
Yes. And then Brandon?
Yeah, as we were going along, I was actually trying to write out a few key points from all of us today, and I think everyone kind of touched on it on this last question. But kind of the three short bullet points I'll say is challenge yourself past your comfort level, make connections early and often, and then leap into your passion. I think, like Sarai said, this is the fun job, and there's so many different routes that you can go with this career. As you can see between all of us, we've kind of taken a different path, and looks different for everyone, but have fun and enjoy it, and yeah, leap into that passion.
Thank you, Brandon. And I would definitely echo that too. There's a lot of opportunities out there. I've seen someone go from a front desk agent to now being a hotel manager. And I just think that that's super incredible. I never thought I would be in the hotel industry at all, but I'm here and I love it, and I would not trade it for anything. Again, I think UNC has really good resources. They do a really good job of, giving you the tools that you need to succeed, but you got to pick them up. So thank you so much, everyone. I'll turn it back over to you, Teresa.
Thank you, Ashley. And thank you to all of our panelists, to you, Ashley, and to all of you who are joining us today. It is always an honor and a pleasure to host fellow Bears and to hear about their UNC experience, their unique identities and career paths and industry insights. Throughout the semester, we'll be hosting one more, actually, virtual alumni career panel. So to learn more, you can visit www.unco.edu uncc.edu/alumni/careers. And before we end, our colleagues over at the Center for Career Readiness wanted to share some insights into their resources. So I'll pass it over to you, Jenna.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenna Baki. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a career counseling graduate assistant here at UNC's Center for Career Readiness. Here at the Center for Career Readiness, we are here to support you with all things career while you are a current student on campus, as well as up to 3 years after graduation. Our office connects UNC Bears to quality on-campus, community, and national employers through the career tool Handshake. And we also host on-campus career fairs, workshops, and presentations around campus for students each semester. Students are encouraged to schedule an appointment with our career counseling team for resume and cover letter reviews, job, internship, and grad school search and support, as well as mock interviews, networking tips, and more. In addition to appointments, we also offer drop-in hours, both in person and virtually throughout each semester to support our students and alum. For further information on all of this, you can check out our website at unco.edu/career, or you're welcome to email us at career.readiness@unco.edu. Thanks.
Thank you, Jenna. And quickly, I will ask everyone to unmute themselves. And on a countdown from 3, we're going to do a quick Go Bears. So 3, 2, 1, Go
Go
Bears!
Bears!
Have a great evening, everyone.